What's going on, hackers? We're back again with day 5 of the Cyber of Advent with TryHackMe, and today we're going to look at day 5 where we explore what XSS is, and we're going to actually look at an exploit of an XSS on the ELF forum. Let's jump into it and check it out. All right, day 5 is dedicated to XSS. And we're going to look first at what is an XSS vulnerability, what types of cross-site scripting or XSS exist, and then last but not least, we're going to do a walkthrough of the challenge where I will show you how I approach XSS and how the challenge itself has shown you the walkthrough for it. Not that there's anything wrong with the way TryHackMe explains this, but I also want to bring in some of my experience and show you how I approach XSS when I look at web applications, whether it's in a pen test, bug bounty, or whatever else, and help you look for them and identify them faster. So let's jump into it and look at the challenge. All right, so what is XSS? XSS stands for cross-site scripting, and cross-site scripting allows us to inject HTML or JavaScript into the victim's browser. When you achieve XSS, you can do a number of things. You can steal the user's session, you can change the behavior of the page, you can also redirect them to another website, and a ton of different things within that website. So there are 3 different types of cross-site scripting. The first one is DOM, which stands for the Document Object Model, and this is the interface for HTML and XML documents. With DOM XSS, what we're going to do is we're going to execute JavaScript directly into the browser without any new pages being loaded or data submitted to the backend code. An example of this could be a website's JavaScript code getting the contents of the window.location.hash parameter and then write that onto the page in the currently being viewed section. The contents of the hash aren't checked for malicious code, allowing the hacker to insert JavaScript into the web page. The second kind is the reflected XSS, and this is where a user will supply some data into the HTTP request directly, and that data is going to be reflected into the web page. And by leveraging XSS, we can insert HTML or JavaScript within that. And as you can see on the screen right now, this page for login, it says, hey, there's an error, username is incorrect. And on the page, it will show that error message that says username is incorrect. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace that value of the error parameter, and we're going to put HTML there. And if that HTML actually works, then obviously we have some sort of a lead for a cross-site scripting. The third kind of XSS is stored XSS. This is where the cross-site scripting payload you give to the application within a comment, a review, your first name, your last name, anywhere where you can provide user input, gets saved into the database, and it doesn't get cleaned or sanitized, and it shows it back up to the user, and within that web page, that HTML and JavaScript renders. So this could be, again, in any form where you can actually input data, and it's going to store it and show it to you every time you visit it. There is also a fourth kind of XSS. This is something that a lot of people have been actually playing with a lot more recently, which is called blind XSS. This is where XSS does actually pop up, but you can't see this. In other words, that means that the XSS is being executed in a backend where the employees, the admins, people with a higher privilege could see it, but you will never have access to that functionality to confirm whether or not your XSS works. So you can use tools like Xss Hunter, where you would put a payload and it would collect that data for you. So think of this one as making an order on an e-commerce website where the store owner goes to print your shipping label, and as soon as they open your contact information, it pops up. Since you don't have access to this particular functionality, you won't be able to actually see whether or not it popped up, but on their end is actually executing JavaScript. And if you're using tools like Xss Hunter that I mentioned earlier, it would collect information for you, including their session, including the user agent and so on, and send you a report that says, hey, this payload that you put on this page, it fired, and here's all the information you need. There's also a room on TryHackMe.com. It's called XSSGI, I believe. If you go to that, you can actually learn all about XSS. I highly recommend it. I'm gonna put it on the screen and also into the description, so make sure you check it out if you're more interested into learning about XSS. Now let's jump into this challenge and talk about the walkthrough and how we can use XSS to exploit this one. So when we open up the ELF forum, it's the first thing going to ask us is a username and password, and I'm going to look at the walkthrough as we do it just to make sure we don't miss any information. So the first thing is it's going to give us the username and password we need. So I'm going to copy and paste. Now we're logged in. We can see the login form is gone. We have access to a few different forums, a few different posts. There's a settings. We can put in a new password, and it looks like we can actually make new comments too. So we're gonna go to this thread, and we can make a comment like, hello test 1 2 3, and right here that hello test 1 2 3 is being shown. What I like to usually do is I always like to type in a basic HTML payload. So this could be underlining something, or the H1 to make it bigger. I type in test 1 2 3, and I leave my comment. I scroll down, as you can see, both the H1 and the underline tag have executed, and we can check into the DOM just to make sure we can see it. So right here we can see in this div right here, it has the underline, H1 test 1 2 3, and then the closing tag, which has done it for us automatically. So this indicates that there is some sort of a XSS here, and we can abuse it in some way to steal someone's session or change their password, since in the settings page we can actually see that. But let's go back to the challenge itself and see what they want us to do. So in this challenge, they tell us that you can change your password. I'm going to do that really quick. I'm going to put test 1 2 3 as our password. So I'm actually going to pull that down so you can see it. So you can see in the address bar right here, the request to change in password is, it goes to settings, it passes the parameter new password, and it sends the password value within that parameter. So this is what we want to do. If we have an XSS, one of the things we can do is we can send this request within the user's browser and say, hey, if XSS is going to execute, I want you to fetch this page, and on command it will change the password. So again, if we change this to test 1 2 3 4 5, it's going to change the password. And just to show that it works, I'm going to log out and try it really quick. So we're going to go to login, make skitty, test 1 2 3 4 5 is the password I pasted in there, and we're able to log in without any problems. Of course, here they're telling us to use this payload. There's different ways you can do this. There's different ways you can write this, but what TryHackMe's is telling us to do is use this and put this as an XSS payload in the L form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to general, and we're going to go to so excited, and we're going to type in XSS payload, enter, and paste our payload. And as you can see, I misspelled XSS payload, but if we go into the page and type in and look for it, we can see that the script has done this. So every time you reload this, we can actually confirm it by looking at the network tab. If you're not familiar with the network tab, it's pretty much very similar to what the Burp Suite proxy does. It shows you all the requests that are being sent in the back end, or in the background when you make a request or load a web page. So in this case, every time we refresh the page, it's making this request right here to this IP address, and it's sending this request as soon as this page is loaded. In the background, it makes that request right away. So now we can go back and see what they want us to do. Now that you have this XSS running on the forum, that means any logged in user that views that thread will automatically have their passwords changed to pass 1 2 3. So if we log out and try this, we can log in as the Grinch. So I'm going to close this with the password pass 1 2 3. So again, the point of this entire thing was to find a cross-site scripting vulnerability. We understood that the change password is being made by calling that endpoint with the new pass parameter and passing the password value into it to change the password. We saw that in the app itself. So the point was find XSS, change the Grinch's password, and log in as him and see if we can find the flag. So if we go to settings, maybe somewhere here, we're going to be able to see more. So it looks like there is something here that was added to the page. We're going to disable it, see if it works. And on disabling, it gives us a TryHackMe flag. So again, this was just a simple way of exploring XSS. It shows you how it works, how to find it, how to identify it, how to exploit it. And it also shows that because Grinch has elevated access, we have this plugin thing that we can enable and disable, which gives us our flag for day 5. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck on the next few days. I know day 6 is on patch management. There's some fun stuff coming out there. I hope you enjoy this Cyber Advent this year, and I hope you're all winning some cool prizes. Until the next video, peace.